The question I have for you, Minister, regards the delay around reviews for decisions on disability and carers allowance. Currently there's long waits for it. It needs to be addressed, and I hope that your department is going to take action on this.
Minister.
Thank Deputy Stanley for his question. The department is committed to providing quality service to all, ensuring that applications are processed and the decisions on entitlement are made in a timely manner. We absolutely understand within the department the pressures that are faced by people, and we ensure the claims are processed quickly and efficiently. Currently, there are almost 170,000 people in receipt of disability allowance or DA, and over 100,000 people in receipt of carers allowance. The number of people in receipt of DA has increased by almost 50%. The number of people in receipt of carers allowance has increased by 67% over the past 10 years. The processing times for individual claims may vary in accordance with the relative complexity of each application, and particularly in terms of the main qualifying criteria, each individual circumstances, and the information that is provided in support of the claim. When determining suitability for disability allowance, evidence needs to be examined in respect of the medical condition, the extent to which it restricts them from taking up employment, their means and habitual residency. And similarly, when examining suitability for carers allowance, caring needs are also examined. To assist the department to make timely and fair decisions, we need to ensure that we have complete forms and supporting documentation is attached. And complaints with incomplete information will take longer to process. In recent years, my department has introduced a wide range of initiatives aimed at streamlining the processing of claims using modern technology. Operational processes, procedures and the organisation of work are continually reviewed, Deputy, to ensure that processing capability is maximised. I'm pleased to inform Deputy Stanley that we are currently meeting and exceeding our processing target for the Disability Allowance Scheme, which aims towards 75% of applications within 10 weeks. For carers allowance, we aim toward 80% of applications within 10 weeks. The average processing time for each scheme, for both schemes at the moment, is currently 6 weeks. I'd like to certainly engage with you in relation to any specific case that's outside of those periods, and we're continuously trying to reduce those processing times.
Deputy Stanley.
Minister, reply. The reason I'm bringing up this is that a person who would find themselves out of work through no fault of their own due to a disability, or somebody who has to give up work to care for a loved one and put in a claim for carers allowance, genuine cases. I understand that it's complex. I understand that there's a number of different pieces in terms of the judgment, in terms of people being eligible or not being eligible. The Oireachtas helpline is a help, but it's not a silver bullet. I want to say that to you. There's the experience we've had is that some of them are taking 4 and 5 months, which can cause serious problems. Even in straightforward cases, maybe we heard there's a missing document, and then the document is supplied. And then if there's an appeal, the appeals are taken up to 12 months, Minister. That's our experience. And I know you mentioned to me previously that if I had an individual case, I want to go back and check where those cases are at. If there is one of them, I will be bringing to your attention. But you have an answer that you're reading out from the department. I'm not saying the officials are giving you false information, but just the experience we're having recently is not that. I would say that to you.
Minister.
I thank the Deputy for your feedback, and we've been discussing this in the context of preparing your question. We are putting a huge amount of resources into appeals in particular at the moment. We've 20 extra staff have been assigned to the appeals unit. They've been trained up and now they're working. And you can see in relation to, for instance, domiciliary care appeals, they have reduced from about 1,200 being on hand at the middle of May of this year to just over 600 in the middle of June. And the majority of those 600 are cases from April, May and June. And we continue I will be focusing the extra resources in the appeals unit now on carers as well to ensure that any appeals backlogs that are there, I don't have that figure with me at the moment. But there's no claim should be taking up to a year to assess. And if there are delays like that, I do want to hear about them, and the department wants to hear about them. We have a time set of 6 weeks in relation to both carers and disability to turn around an application. But it is also important that we get the fullest possible information to back up and support the claim. So the more information we have, the quicker we make the decision.
Deputy Stanley.
6 weeks would be, if it could be done within a 6 weeks period, that would be certainly very good, and I welcome the fact that there is a target there for that, because without a target nothing is achieved, you know, things move. You're correct, the more information that's available, and often, you know, people are making these claims for it and they're not sure maybe the language the department is using. It's been simplified in recent years and that's welcome. I just think that, you know, it's important that we try and achieve that target. As I said earlier on, somebody who finds himself out of work through no fault of their own because of a disability, or somebody who has to give up their job, which you and I will often come across this in the constituency, where they give up work to care for a loved one. I think it's really important that we try and financially support them. And we must remember that while they're waiting to have nowhere else to go, the community welfare officer maybe, but that's, you know, there's very strong rules around that, and it can be difficult, and that can take time even within itself. But I think it's really important that we try and iron out any difficulties there are with this.
Thanks,
the appeals process, the Lear Street part of it, that does need to be looked at.
Minister.
Yeah, I've taken the time over the last number of weeks to try and visit all the department's regional offices where many of these claims are dealt with, and including here in our head office in Dublin. And I've met all the staff, and they're fantastic. They're doing absolutely fantastic work. We've nearly 7,000 members of staff across the Department of Social Protection, many of whom are managing these claims, and many of whom are turning them around as quickly as is possible. And, you know, where there are information gaps, we try and address them as quickly as is possible, and we are investing significantly in technology to try and assist that as well. As you said, we've tried to change the language and tried to make it more inclusive, but if there are things where that's not happening, you know, we will address that. The department and our staff are very, very committed to doing that. As I said, in appeals, we've appointed 20 extra appeals officers. They come with experience of managing and processing claims. I visited the Social Welfare Appeals Office last week to meet them and to see their work at first hand, and they are all very focused and working very hard at reducing any backlogs. And, you know, the DCA, Domiciliary Care Allowance backlog, is one good example where a very focused effort has reduced a backlog by nearly half in over a month.
Question.